When I was sitting in my bed getting toxic chemotherapy infused into my body, all I could think about was traveling the world with my family. I knew that I desperately needed cancer treatment. Diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, if I wanted to survive, I needed surgery and chemotherapy. That meant for now I was stuck. Side effects, exhaustion, appointments, and of course, chemotherapy. But it did not stop me from doing this. During my chemo, I planned out the ultimate bucket list of travel destinations. In this video, I'm showing you the best places that I've traveled since being diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. I'm also including my dream vacation and the first place that I went after I finished my chemotherapy. I'll save that until the end. But first, I'm Canadian, and there are some amazing places to travel in Canada. But truthfully, before cancer, I had already been to a lot of them. Toronto, Montreal, Halifax, Vancouver, but there was one Canadian destination I had not been to since I was a kid. Lake Louise. Lake Louise and the Rocky Mountains are amazingly beautiful. It's almost too beautiful to believe that it's real, but it is. As a cancer survivor, sticking within driving distance from your house is perfect, especially in the summertime. If the road conditions are good, then you can quickly get back home if you're not feeling well, or if your team needs to see you. That's what made the Rocky Mountains a great option for a first-time trip for me. We started in Canmore, which is my favorite Rocky Mountain town. It's much less touristy than some of the other destinations. And from there, we headed west. From there, we went to Lake Moraine and Banff National Park. At Moraine Lake, there are different lengths of hikes and different difficulties as well, but they all have amazing views. After a stop here, we went on to Lake Louise. Now, we actually stayed at the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise, which is an incredibly luxurious experience. We took a red canoe out on Lake Louise, and it was the quintessential Canadian experience and very fun. Now, Lake Louise isn't for everyone. It can be incredibly crowded and full of tourists, but it's one of those iconic spots that you want to see at least once in your life. We visited the Rocky Mountains in the summertime, and by the time winter rolled around, we had bigger plans. We headed to Europe. Prague was our first stop, which was incredible. I had previously been to Europe a couple times, but never these next few countries. Now, Prague is incredible. Amazing foods, very walkable, and incredible culture. And the best part is that we went in November when the Christmas markets were in full swing. It was incredibly magical, and I'm so glad that we went there in winter before Christmas, as opposed to the overcrowded summer months. And from Prague, we went to Vienna. Again, the food was amazing, and Vienna is actually quite romantic. A great destination for my husband and I. And from Vienna, our last stop was Budapest. On our previous trips to Europe, we had been to more popular destinations like Paris or Athens or London. Although all these cities are lovely, I had really high expectations. But our trip to Prague, Vienna, and Budapest, it was amazing. We had so many good laughs and met incredible people along the way. But next up on my list was a trip that I'd always wanted to take. It had long been on my bucket list to drive down the west coast of the USA. Now, previously, I had been to quite a few west coast cities. Places like San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, San Diego, Los Angeles. But I still wanted to make the drive. So we started in Seattle, and after staying here a couple of nights, we made our way down to Portland. Portland is an amazing city. It's so weird and wonderful. It's known for coffee and the craft beer scene. Now, after my cancer diagnosis, my husband and I, we still wanted to start a family. And I actually found out I was pregnant for the first time right before we started our trip down the West Coast. So there was limited coffee and no craft beer for me on this trip. Plus the winding roads and the first trimester morning sickness were not a great combination. Now, you're likely wondering, how can you have kids after ovarian cancer? It's a good question, but despite popular belief, not everyone with ovarian cancer needs to get a full or complete hysterectomy. Although it is commonly suggested and an approach that's often used, it's not needed for everyone. It doesn't have to be. For me, I was only married to my husband for 6 weeks when I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. My husband and I wanted to have a family, so I opted to only have one ovary removed. The ovary that was removed was completely destroyed by cancer. Then my remaining ovary, it stayed in place. Now, I did have disease in my remaining ovary, but the hope was that the chemo would get rid of the remaining cancer, and it did. I'm still cancer-free 7 years later. With one ovary, I had both of our children, Max and Madeline. Okay, so despite the morning sickness, we continue down the West Coast. There are some quirky and interesting towns, and I especially liked Glass Beach at Fort Bragg. Now, after having kids, I still wanted to travel, and I definitely wanted to take them with us. But travel changes after you have kids. Well, at least it did for us. Either way, there have been some amazing places that we've traveled to that are also super family friendly. I think our favorite in terms of convenience is Scottsdale, Arizona. It's really friendly and welcoming, and it's really easy to fly to from Canada. And the length of the flight is great for kids. It's easy to get around, and there's lots of pool time. Our son Max loves the Children's Museum in downtown Phoenix, and both of our kids love the train park in Scottsdale. It's called the McCormick Stillman Railroad Park. It's very inexpensive and it's a lot of fun. Scottsdale is also an amazing place for hiking. My husband and I, we love to hike, and the added challenge of carrying our kids with us is no problem. We usually each have one either on our shoulders or in a hiking backpack, and away we go. Lots of snacks, definitely recommended. Okay, but this next destination is a bucket list one for sure. I had to take our kids to Disney World. Disney World is truly the most magical place on earth. It's incredible, but it's a big undertaking for a cancer survivor. This is not really a vacation. You will be walking 20,000 steps a day, and your body is gonna feel it. There are really strategic ways that you can use to make sure that you have the energy to get through your days at Disney. I've previously made a video specific for cancer survivors doing Disney, so be sure to check that out. Our kids adore Disney. They love Mickey and Minnie. We had the most amazing time, and we'll definitely be going back. Now, let me shift gears and take you on a not so family-friendly trip. Las Vegas. Just this past year, my husband and I jetted off to Las Vegas. Now, I had never been to Las Vegas because it's not really my style. I'm more into traveling with great food and good culture, not really gambling and drinking. But there are many different versions of Las Vegas. It doesn't need to be all drinks and glitz and glam. We did have amazing food at Bobby Flay's restaurant, and of course, did a little bit of gambling. Came home with an extra $400. Not bad. Okay, but I promised to share with you my dream vacation, and here it is. This was the first trip that I took after finishing chemo. I will honestly say that any time that I was in pain or discomfort during my chemo or my surgery, I would just close my eyes and envision myself laying in the sand underneath a palm tree in Hawaii. About a month after I finished my chemo treatment, we spent 2 weeks in Hawaii. Of course, chemo can really take a toll on your body, so I wanted to make sure that I had the stamina to do all the things in Hawaii that I wanted to do. I really love Kihei and Maui. It's really family friendly and very relaxed. There are lots of quiet beaches, and it's not quite as touristy or resort-like as other areas of Maui. I also love the Kihei Cafe. It was a great vacation for after chemo, lots of relaxing and just taking it all in. I had made it to the finish line of my treatment, and Hawaii is how I celebrated. Now, of course, I am nowhere done my travels around the world, but this is a pretty good start. Now, after I finished my cancer treatment, I really wanted to celebrate being done chemo, even though I might not be done with all things cancer. It's really important to celebrate every single stage, even if you're not completely done. It's those micro celebrations that keep you going until the end. Okay, but it's not just about traveling and ticking off your bucket list after chemo. Because if you're really challenged by the side effects or the anxiety of cancer, then you're not able to fully live your life like you want, especially when you're on vacation. That's why in this next video, I'm showing you how to completely recover from cancer. If you want to feel amazing while you're traveling, then you need to watch this next video. Click the link here and I'll see you in there.